her had been on.
Exactly. However, your poor guardian angel came back to heaven with scalded feathers and a face filled with broken glass.
Oh my, I never knew. I'm so sorry. Is she okay now?
Well, actually, she recovered quite nicely. But the problem is, just how much more of your lack of attention is she going to have to take?
I see. I guess I'm in real trouble.
Well, not if you wake up and pull yourself together.
Pull myself together? Just what am I supposed to do?
Well, first, realize that your life has changed and that you need to change.
Change?
Yes, change.
Change what?
Well, first you need to clean house and get rid of stuff.
What stuff?
Well, to start with, a lot of my things.
Explain. Just what do you want me to get rid of?
Well, some of my clothes. Those gowns I wore for concerts. They need to be used. Right now, they're just rotting in the closet.
They are beautiful gowns. Very expensive. And you look lovely in them.
I agree. But you have pictures of me wearing them, and you don't need to keep them. They need to be used. Take them to the consignment store, to charity, or let them be used for costumes, theater, or Halloween.
If that is what you like, I'll give it some thought.
Then there's the other stuff in the drawers.
In the drawers?
Yes, like my old underwear. Do you know how embarrassed I would be for somebody to have to come in and clean out my underwear? Not to mention some of the old ugly clothes I wore to do dirty jobs, like clean out the garage or gardening. Charles, you need to take care of my things.
I see. Of course.
Now, while we're on the subject of clothes, I've also noticed that you're looking quite shabby yourself.
Shabby? I don't think that I look shabby.
Trust me, Charles, you do. You could have a new suit or two. I've noticed that the pants you are wearing are worn at the pockets and the hem of the legs. And by the way, the tie laying on the sofa is really pathetically outdated. How many more years do you plan to wear it?
These pants work just fine. Nobody sees them when I have on my robe. And besides, this is one of my favorite ties. It couldn't be too ugly. You gave it to me for Christmas several years ago.
That's right. That's the problem. Several years ago. Charles, if I could, I would clean out your closet and buy you some new things. But you know that's impossible. You have to do a few things for yourself now. Take a trip to the city. Go to the men's store and buy yourself some clothes. Quit living like you've been asleep for the past 3 years. Charles, wake up and begin living.
Julia, as glad as I am that you came, I do resent you fussing at me and scolding me. Please don't forget, Julia, that I am a living human being with feelings.
Yes, living is the operative word here. That is what I want you to do, to live, to get a hold of yourself, to come alive. Charles, life is wonderful. You need to enjoy it. It's so short, but death is forever. Believe me, you will be dead forever and ever. There's no second chance after you die.
Forgive me, Julia, but according to the picture you have painted of the great beyond, death and life after death is supposed to be glorious.
Well, it is glorious. It's paradoxical. If I'd had my choice, I wouldn't have died. I did like living. I loved being your wife in my career. Our children, our grandchildren were the pride and joy. Our friends, wonderful and supportive of us. True, my new state of being, the dimension of it is glorious. But Charles, don't hasten your arrival. Charles, listen to me. My dear, you are a living, you do not need to arrive in this new glorious dimension. You are in virtually the same state as my decaying body in my casket. You are doing nothing except occupying space.
You are disturbing me, Julia.
Well, I hope so.
You've never treated me like this before.
Well, I never had to. You have always been with it and well thought of. Now, we have to talk about the house.
The house?
Well, yes, the house. The house needs renovations and repairs. For sure, Margaret has polished the kitchen counter and scrubbed the bathtub for so many years that there's not a speck of finish left on them. I'm looking at the drapes. They're in tatters. The furniture is worn. Charles, it's time to change. In fact, you need a new house. Let someone with some imagination come in here and update it and enjoy it for themselves. As you are living, time will just continue to deteriorate things and you.
Me?
Yes, you. My dear, I've been gone for 3 years and I'm not coming back. You need to get on with your life, to do things, to be with people. You need to start anew, to live.
Really?
It would be so much better if you would sell the house, the furnishings, give my things to people who could use and enjoy them. It's not like you're destroying anything, not even memories. And as I've already mentioned, you have pictures of me in my gowns, and we have scads of pictures of dinner parties in our dining room, barbecues, and our daughters playing in the backyard with their friends. All the family activities we had with 35 years of marriage and raising our daughters.
I hear what you are saying.
My dear Charles, you're not an old man, a man of only 62. You have 3 more years until you think about retirement. And as a judge, if you're in good health and you don't want to retire, you don't have to. However, whatever you decide about your career is what you decide. But you don't need to be here night after night alone in this decaying house. You need to be with people, with someone to eat dinner with and to talk to. Yes, Charles, it's all right if you find a lady friend, someone to help keep you in good health and vital. Even if you married her, you would have my blessing. At least you would have your life. You would be living.
I have never dreamed of marrying again.
Well, you should think about it. True, maybe the young love that we enjoyed will never strike again. But there is companionship. Someone who enjoys you and whom you can enjoy.
I never thought about another woman.
I know. You were a good husband, a faithful one. And your faithfulness will still make you a good husband. Think about it, Charles. Take a hold of your life.
Well,
Well, not only will you be a good husband, you will also be a handsome one.
do you really think so?
Oh, I know so. In fact, Charles, you are really very distinguished. And whenever you resurrect your charming personality, you will be fine. Have some faith in yourself. I do.
You do?
Yes, I do. And so do your parents and my parents and a host of friends that have gone before you, not to mention your guardian angel.
Yes, my guardian angel. I guess I could call her by name, Angelica. By the way, when you see her, would you please thank her for me and tell her that I'm sorry for any inconvenience or mishap that I have caused her, that I will try to be more attentive to what I'm doing.
I will. And she will even be more pleased if she thinks you will get on with your life.
Well, I'll try.
No, don't try. Just do it. And good things will happen to you. I assure you of that. Oh my goodness, it's getting late. I do need to return. Everyone will be waiting for my report.
Your report?
Yes, my report.
Okay, I see.
There is a scratch at the door. Judge Hawkins is startled.
Oh, Charles, I see that our visit has unnerved you. You almost jumped out of your skin.
What did I hear?
Charles, it's not a ghost. It's the cat. She wants inside. Charles, as far as long as we have had her, when she has wanted in, she's always scratched on the door. Charles, go let her in.
Oh, excuse me while I let her in.
He leaves the room and goes to the kitchen to let the cat in. All during Julia's visit with Charles, the guardian angel Aunt Angelica, although invisible, has been listening to conversation between Charles and Julia. For sure, the guardian angel has an interest in the purpose of Julia's visit and Charles's behavior and future. After all, he did give her quite the challenge when she had to grab him from getting hit by a car and a coffee pot exploding. Julia calls out to her,
Angelica, I think I've made some progress. He actually seems that he might have listened to me. Maybe he will be able to release me somewhat and to get on with his life. Angelica, for sure. I do appreciate that he continues to think of me, to visit my grave often, to bring me flowers. Charles is really a dear, and I do like that he thinks of me and that I have a place in his heart. Such is satisfying and comforting. However, Charles needs a new beginning, someone that he can enjoy as well. And for sure, I do love him. And I want him to be happy, to enjoy life. Angelica, I believe that we have accomplished what we set out to do. Now I can go on with my eternal life feeling as though that I've taken care of things as I should have.
Julia, feeling confident that she has dealt with her once beloved husband sufficiently, disappears with Angelica for her traveling companion. Judge Hawkins returns to the room from having let the cat in. He sits to tell Julia that the cat is in. When he looks around and doesn't spot Julia, astonished, he calls out,
Julia! 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 Where are you? Are you hiding from me? Are you playing a trick on me? What's happening?
The judge looks perplexed and disappointed. In a softer tone, he calls again.
Julia! Julia!
He gives up. He goes back to the armchair and sits down, looks around and realizes that she is gone. He puts his hand to his face, then tears come to his eyes. He wipes them, but more tears come. He takes out a handkerchief and wipes his eyes again. Finally, he picks up the papers that he was working on and tries to continue working. He finds it difficult and wipes his eyes again. He puts the papers down and goes to the kitchen and makes himself a cup of tea. He enters the living room with it and begins sipping it. The phone rings. He answers it. It's his daughter, Charlotte. He says,
Hello? Oh, hello, Charlotte. It's good to hear from you. How are you? How are the children? Oh, that's good. I'm glad that the children had fun today. I've been thinking, Charlotte, maybe we could have a summer barbecue this Saturday. Why? What do I have in mind? Well, I've been thinking that I need to scale down some things a bit. Maybe there are some things that you and your sister would like to have for a keepsake, if nothing else, and maybe for the girls. Well, keep what I said in mind. I'll have some ideas on Saturday. We can discuss them then. Oh, how has my day been? Well, the usual. Court, dinner, and working on tomorrow's case. Nothing unusual or out of the ordinary. Lunchtime? Yes, I went to the cemetery to take flowers and had a sack lunch there. It was quite nice. The city is keeping up the grounds. In fact, the grounds look like a park. Oh, you were thinking about me too. You had a feeling about me? Oh, my dear, please don't worry about me. I'm really fine. Well, tell me about yourself. Everything went well today? Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. How about Saturday? We can discuss what I have in mind then. Take care. Big hugs for the girls from me. Tell them that Grandpa loves them. Bye now.
he hangs up. He picks up his work again, but cannot get interested in it. He puts it down. He puts his hand to his hands for a moment. Then he gets up. He walks over to the mirror that is above the fireplace. He looks at himself. He picks up the tie that he had tossed on the sofa when he had sat down to work. He puts it on. He looks at it. I'm sorry. He takes,
He looks at his hair.
oh, he looks at his hair, turning his head to the left, then to the right. He looks pleased with himself. He gives himself a little smile. He looks at his watch. It is approximately 8 o'clock. He goes to the phone, picks up the receiver, and dials a number. When the other person answers, he asks,
Is this Karen Watson? This is Charles Hawkins. We've met before at the dedication of the new hospital wing. Ah, you do remember me. Oh, you've even heard a few things about me. Hopefully they weren't too bad. Well, a person never knows, you know. Judges can have a bad reputation. The reason I am calling is that, well, would you be free to join me for dinner tomorrow evening at the Country Squire restaurant? How about if I make reservations for 8 o'clock? I can pick you up about 7:30 if that is okay with you. Oh, good. I'll pick you up then, and I'm looking forward to it.
he puts the phone down. His hands tremble slightly. He goes back to the mirror, looks at himself, and comments.
I did it. Julia, I did it. I'm taking your advice, Julia. You'll be proud of me. Your efforts were not in vain. I listened to you. I did. For a fact, I did.
He walks over to the mirror to see himself. He fingers the tie around his neck. He shakes his head as though to disapprove of it. Undoubtedly, Julia had convinced him that it was as old and outdated.